Everyone. So we are Team U Spendy, and our infoviz was created to help paint a clearer picture around the poverty discussion that's always taking place in our country. So we took the spending budgets of all 50 states in the U.S. and we wanted to cross-analyze that with 4 different quality of life indicators. We chose to use poverty rate, unemployment rate, spending per capita, and crime rate. And each of the spending budgets that we have for each state, so it shows how much the state spends on, for example, education, transportation, and administration. So at a high level, what we wanted to do was to see if how a state sets up its yearly budget. Does that impact poverty in any way? And so the way we're looking for this impact on poverty is by using the different quality of life indicators that we mentioned earlier. And in terms of the specific questions that we wanted to answer, here they are. So for any state of interest, what category of spending do they spend the majority of their budget on? Secondly, is there a correlation between spending in education and poverty rate, or spending in education and any of the other quality of life indicators that we're tracking? And last, has a state been able to improve any of its quality of life indicators since 2003 to since 2012? So having these questions in mind, we were able to figure out, okay, what exactly does our infoviz going to look like? When you first start out, you can see to the top left, we have a chloropleth map of the United States. And everything is shaded based off the quality of life indicator that you're looking at the current time. And the shade that it's going to receive is based off, either what range the state belongs to in the quality of life indicator that you're looking at. So for poverty rate, we have ranges of 0 to 5%, 5 to 10%, etc. So whatever the state's poverty rate is going to determine the shade that it's going to receive. And then if we move over to the right, you can see that we have 2 line charts. The top line chart is actually a line for the poverty rate for this current state. So right now you can see that we're looking at South Dakota. And so from 2003 to 2012, we see the poverty rate, the change of the poverty rate over that time period. And then below that is actually, we're tracking, the different spending categories that the state uses. So there's education. You have right below that, you can see social services. So just like on the above line chart, from 2003 to 2012, how is there a fluctuation in how the state allocates money in a certain category? And right below that, this is just the actual pie chart breakdown of what the state's budget allocation is, just to get a quick and dirty look of what that looks like. To the left of the pie chart, you can see that we have a scatter plot. And so what this is okay, on the y-axis, we have social services. So the y-axis changes based on what spending category you want to look at. And the x-axis is going to be the quality of life indicator that you want to look at. So right now it's poverty rate, but we can change it to unemployment rate and the rest of the other ones. And then each dot in the scatter plot is a state. So for example, the current state is South Dakota, so it's the biggest bubble. And we can see where it is on what poverty rate it has. And then we can see based off how much it spends in social services. So let's start answering some of the questions that we had. So we said the first question was, for any state of interest, looking at its budget, what is its biggest spending category? Let's just do South Dakota, for example. Let's click on South Dakota and we go to the pie chart. We do a little comparing and contrasting, and we can see that education is the biggest spending category that South Dakota spends its money on. Okay, so we knocked out that first question for one state, but we could do this for all 50 states if we wanted to. And now we want to look at and see, the second question was, is there a correlation between spending in education and poverty rate? All right, so we can just go straight to our scatter plot. Right now it's selected on social services. The y-axis is social services, but we want that to be education. So when we click on education in the pie chart, the y-axis changes. And now we can see the different dots. And right now it doesn't really look like there's correlation, right? Things look scattered, but we do see that there is some type of positive correlation. And so nothing's really strong, but we do see that there is some sort of correlation. So we don't have a definitive answer, but we have something to talk about now. And our third question was, has a state been able to improve any of its quality of life indicators since 2003? All right. We can stick with South Dakota here, and we go straight to the top right, and we can see, okay, the poverty rate has been increasing flat lines, and it looks like from 2006 to 2008, they actually saw a drop in their poverty rate. And so, I mean, that raises up a great question. Did South Dakota do anything in 2006 through 2008 to cause this drop? Maybe. And our infoviz, if we wanted to analyze, okay, like let's look at what they did with their different, spending categories. Have they all been increasing, decreasing over time, etc.? So there's a whole bunch of questions that we can now ask and then look into. So that's what our infoviz was created for. And you can see these filters here. So like if I wanted to filter and say I want to look at all the states that have poverty rates between 14% and 20%. If I hit that filter, then all the states that fit this range, they're going to be the ones that show in the scatter plot. So this is what our infoviz is, and this is what it does. If you want to use it, just let us know. We think it's pretty cool, and I hope you do too. Thank you.